I'm Peter, one of Jesus' disciples, and I want to tell you about how God promises to always love us. One night, I had just finished eating with Jesus and all of the other disciples. Afterwards, we were walking through a garden, and we could tell that Jesus was upset about something. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to do exactly what God had planned. He looked at me, James, and John and said, "My heart feels heavy. Will you stay here and keep watch? I need to pray." We weren't sure what to do. We had never seen Jesus like this before. Jesus walked away by himself. He knelt down and began to pray. "Father, if it is possible, don't let this happen to me. Father, you can do anything, but do what you want and not what I want." It had been a long day and we were all exhausted. As we sat down to keep watch, our eyes got heavier and heavier. 3 different times Jesus saw us sleeping and woke us up. The 3rd time we saw a crowd coming to arrest Jesus. This made me furious. Jesus had done nothing wrong. So I jumped up to fight the soldiers and drew my sword, and without even thinking, I cut off one of their ears. When Jesus saw what I had done, he said, "Enough!" He bent down, picked up the man's ear, placed it back on his head, and he was healed. Then Jesus said, "This has to happen because it's God's plan." The disciples and I didn't know what to do, so everyone ran away. I started to run too, but I wanted to see what would happen to Jesus, so I followed them. Jesus was brought before many important people. Some of them were trying to find a reason to have Jesus put to death. Or they made things up just to convince everyone that Jesus was bad. As I was standing outside listening to all that was said, a young girl saw me and asked, "Hey, aren't you one of Jesus' friends?" Then I said something so horrible. Something I would definitely regret. I said, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." 2 more times, people asked me if I knew Jesus. I ended up shouting at them, "No, I don't even know that man." I started to have the most horrible feeling deep inside. Tears began pouring from my eyes. How could I hurt Jesus in such a way? How could I say I never knew him? Would he still love me even though I had done something so wrong? I didn't understand that part of God's plan was for Jesus to take the punishment for all of the sins that I had committed. In fact, all of the wrong things we do were placed on Jesus when he died on the cross that day. But because of God's love for Jesus and because of his love for you and for me, he did not let Jesus stay dead. 3 days later, one of his friends, named Mary, came running to find me and John. She was so excited to tell us that Jesus was alive. I couldn't believe it. I ran as fast as I could to see for myself, and it was true. Jesus' body was gone. Sometime later, Jesus appeared to me and some of the disciples while we were fishing. Jesus pulled me aside to ask me a question. "Peter," he said, "do you love me?" I responded as quickly as I could, "Yes, Jesus. You know that I love you." Jesus asked me again, and even a 3rd time. With each question, I let Jesus know that without a doubt, I loved him. And in that moment, I knew that he loved me too, even though there were many things I had done wrong. There is a promise for us all in Jeremiah 31, the 2nd part of verse 3. The Lord says, "I love you, people, with a love that continues forever. That is why I have continued showing you kindness. No matter what you have done wrong, remember that God promises to love you forever.